Good morning. My name is Meredith MGerhardt, and today I would like to introduce you to the world of digital storytelling and to the possibilities it holds for us as teachers. In order to make a case for digital storytelling, first we must define it. Digital storytelling is the practice of combining narrative with digital content, including images, sound, and video to create a short movie, typically with a strong emotional component. As educators, we are always looking for new ways to engage our students, make our content relevant, and get them excited about and invested in their learning process. Digital storytelling is one way to accomplish all of these goals. Digital stories make use of dynamic media. What is dynamic media, you ask? It is digital media that is no longer static. We can interact with it. It can be shared through links. It can be remixed and recombined. It can facilitate discussion, incorporate multiple levels of media, and be taken virtually anywhere by way of a mobile device. We all know YouTube. YouTube is an example of dynamic media. TeacherTube, an educator's version of YouTube, is another example. Twitter is a third example. This form of dynamic media allows for discussion between its members. With the advent of smarter cellular telephones, you and I have the ability to take dynamic media anywhere, thus making it mobile. So why, you ask, should we consider adding digital storytelling to our curriculums and lesson plans? Here is where we encounter the idea of an essential question. The essential question helps give purpose to our lessons. It is a way to direct the course of student learning. It can either be a question that requires the students to develop a plan or course of action, or a question that requires the students to make a decision. The following essential questions will help us to understand why digital storytelling can be such an important tool in our students' learning. Let's look at our first essential question. How can the use of digital storytelling and dynamic media promote the development of understanding in the classroom? The development of understanding deals with Bloom's higher order thinking skills, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. We as teachers can ask students to answer a question through their digital story, a question that does not have just one right answer. In this process, students must first gather information on their topic. Once they have done so, then they will need to analyze and evaluate that information, finding a way to communicate it to their audience. Creating is the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy. In their digital stories, students will be able to decide how to express their stories to an audience, what images, music, script, and format to use. They must even decide what sorts of emotions they hope to evoke from their viewers. Let's move on to essential question number 2. How can digital storytelling and dynamic media be integrated into the classroom in order to promote understanding? Obviously, in order to create a digital story, students must have their own computer or have access to a school computer lab. Students must also have access to movie-making software of some kind, a means to take or scan pictures, and a recording device. There are several free tools available on the internet, and many schools even have licenses for such software. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, students must compose a script for their digital story. The advantages of this are that we as teachers can emphasize the importance of proper writing technique, as well as the student's own authentic voice. As David Jakes, an instructional technology coordinator for Downers Grove High School, sees it, if educators put a strong emphasis on the story itself, this honors the writing process, and technology can then be used to enhance the story. Let's move on to essential question number 3. How can the utilization of digital storytelling and dynamic media in the classroom help students to find their own voice and therefore develop and build their level of confidence in themselves? Jason Oler says, through creating narratives, students develop the power of their own voices and become heroes of their own learning stories. What better way to help students discover their own voice than by creating a digital story about their own life experiences? Once a student becomes invested in his or her personal narrative, that student begins to take ownership of and pride in his or her project. As the student continues to fine-tune and improve the digital story to a point where they wish it to be, his or her level of confidence will begin to grow as the student realizes the power of their own voice. Finally, we arrive at essential question number 4. How can we as teachers promote development of understanding through digital storytelling and digital media by our assessments of student projects, thus helping our students to achieve higher levels of thinking as well as expanding their creative skills? By developing a rubric to assess student work, we as educators can place more importance on higher level thinking skills, such as analyzing, evaluating, and creating, as part of the student's digital story. Creating being the highest level, the rubric may assess such components of a digital story as overall design, creative elements, audience appeal, and originality. These types of categories intend to push students to really consider how creative they can be. Now I would like to show you how to integrate an essential question based on curriculum into a sample lesson plan. Since I teach band, mine deals with music. An example is, why should music programs remain in schools? Come up with 3 reasons why and defend your answers. Since I wish to address my own curriculum standards, I have included some of the music national standards put out by Music Educators National Conference in my assignment. They are number 8, application to life. Students demonstrate relationships between music, the other arts, and disciplines outside of the arts. And number 9, cultural and historical connections. Students demonstrate knowledge of the historical periods and cultural diversity of music. Also, because I am asking my students to use technology and digital media, I have integrated the International Society for Technology Education's National Educational Technology Standards, or NETS, into this project. Those standards are, number 1, students demonstrate creative thinking, construct knowledge, and develop innovative products and processes using technology. Number 2, students use digital media and environments to communicate and work collaboratively, including at a distance, to support individual learning and contribute to the learning of others. Number 3, students apply digital tools to gather, evaluate, and use information. Number 4, students use critical thinking skills to plan and conduct research, manage projects, solve problems, and make informed decisions using appropriate digital tools and resources. Number 5, students understand human, cultural, and societal issues related to technology and practice legal and ethical behavior. And finally, number 6, students demonstrate a sound understanding of technology concepts, systems, and operations. Finally, this digital storytelling assignment includes all of the skills from the Partnership for 21st Century Education. These skills include the core subjects. The arts are, of course, a part of these. Information, media, and technology skills. Students will use digital media to create a digital story. Learning and innovation skills. Students will create an original project. And life and career skills. Students will set goals and manage their time, as well as react to constructive criticism from their peers. Before I show you an example of this type of assignment, I would like to tell you a little bit about the school that I work at. I'm the band director at Jerome D. Mack Middle School in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our approximate student population is 1,350. We are 73% Hispanic, 10% white, 9% black, 3% multi-race, and 2% Asian. 77% of our population is entitled to free and reduced lunch services. 40% are limited English proficient, while 12% receive an individualized education plan. While the majority of our students do come from a lower socioeconomic background, we do have access to several types of technology on our campus, including several computer labs for student use, a few class sets of iPod Touches, and 2 class sets of iPads. We also have 2 full-time computer literacy teachers. Currently, I teach 6 classes per day and base my curriculum on MENC's National Music Standards. The classes I teach are 3 beginning band classes, each one consisting of approximately 60 students, 1 concert band, which is our younger group that consists of between 40 and 60 students, a jazz band that meets before school that contains anywhere from 15 to 30 students, and finally our top group, the symphonic band, which consists of our oldest and most dedicated students, usually consisting of 60 to 70 students. Here is an example of a digital storytelling project. Remember, the assignment asks students to explain why music programs should remain in schools. Today, schools all over America are looking for ways to cut back their spending. To the detriment of our students, many districts have made the decision to eliminate music classes from schools entirely. This is a terrible situation that must be stopped. Music touches the mind and the heart. It reaches something inside of us all in a way that is difficult to describe. Oftentimes, it allows us to express our feelings when words fail us. Being part of a music program builds teamwork, discipline, and self-confidence. Students must work hard to be successful, and when they do, they feel a part of something amazing. Students who perform as part of an ensemble experience a sense of accomplishment in themselves. Alex, a 12-year-old orchestra student in Illinois, has this to say about what music has done for her. She says, "I was born with hemiplegic cerebral palsy, and at a very young age my parents enrolled me in a viola program as an alternative to physical therapy. Now I am in 7th grade and am proud to say I am the section leader for the violas in my school's orchestra. I struggle physically to get on time to class or participate in team sports, and kids might think there is something off with my coordination. But when I represent my school at performances and competitions, my confidence builds, and I forget my daily challenges." As we continue to stress higher education past high school for our students, playing an instrument in a school group can help a student's chances to go to college. I myself went to college at the University of Illinois on a saxophone scholarship. Colleges and universities are looking for students who are self-motivated and driven. Often, music students have these qualities, and institutions of higher learning are looking to recruit such students. In 2010, a 12-year analysis of test scores by the College Board showed that students with 4 years of high school arts and music classes have higher SAT scores than students with 1/2 year or less. According to Music Matters, published by the Arts Education Partnership, music education helps students to improve recall and retention of verbal information, advances math achievement, and boosts reading and English language arts skills. Nearly 100% of past winners in the prestigious Siemens Westinghouse competition in math, science, and technology for high school students play one or more musical instruments. finally, perhaps the most important reason schools should fight for their music programs is because music classes enable students to do things they are not able to do in any of their other classes. Playing a musical instrument is an extremely rewarding experience. There is nothing quite like taking something you have taken great care and time with, honing your skills, practicing until there are no longer mistakes, and presenting the final product in a performance to an audience. This is a culmination of hours of hard work. To be able to say you have achieved something few others have. Music brings joy, both in the listening to it and in the creation of it, to everyone. To eliminate music education in schools would be an indescribable travesty. Therefore, let us continue to fight so we do not ever lose our music programs. Hopefully you enjoyed the example of a digital story. The last thing we must discuss is a process for developing digital storytelling projects in the classroom. You must have a clear, well-organized description of the project you are asking your students to complete. Make sure to have at least one example of a digital story to share with your students so they understand what a finished product will look like. Your rubric must clearly articulate all the components you are looking for. This will help students to guide their own work. Here is an example of such a rubric. It is also helpful to plan some sort of peer sharing exercise where students can give one another feedback and suggestions on ways to improve their digital stories. I recommend talking with a computer specialist or computer literacy teacher on your campus to see what tools and resources are available at your school. It is important to give students a chance to become familiar with their digital software and hardware they will be using to create their projects. Finally, encourage their creative thinking skills. Students will surprise you with their level of engagement, and they will become excited with the seemingly endless possibilities of this project. Good luck and have fun as you begin to implement this wonderful tool, digital storytelling, as a means to develop your students' understanding and delve deeper into your subject matter. Thank you so very much for your time.